News is we were flat because the only other event that they do in the country that saw an increase in registrations was the big one in Colorado. Their other events were actually down. So we'll be flat, maybe a little up. I don't know what the same day registration looked like on Saturday, just being honest with all of you. So I think that 150 is probably the number. You know, if we push 160 with same day, walk up, fantastic, great. It was wonderful to see Dick Compagni's Capital Ford partner and host the event in the afternoon. So I think that was wonderful. Again, a great community piece there with the dealership. And that was something new as far as how they kind of worked together this year. I know that these guys and gals, they love the trails here. So my interaction with them on Saturday, a couple folks, Montana, I think Virginia was the other gentleman I talked to. They love our trails and the proximity, right, to staying in a hotel, being at the event, and then 10 minutes, boom, you're out there four-wheeling, right? They love it. So I think we'll see this grow, but I think it'll probably take till year 5 in talking with Tom over the weekend before we'll get toward that 200 and something in terms of registered Broncos. So I'll make sure, since this just happened, right, I'll make sure that we bring some additional details back next month for you all. And yes, I think this is a video, Chris. Will that play? Oh yeah, there you go.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Mitch Krill from Wild Horses 4x4. We are out here at Carson City, Nevada for the Super Celebration Bronco event.
These Bronco events are just so cool. I mean, there's some folks here all the way from Louisiana. You know, it's a little bit of a haul.
From Lawrence, South Carolina.
We're from Newman Lake, Washington.
Grass Valley, California.
The people are awesome. The community is awesome.
And it's just the people. I've met lifelong friends through this, and that's what I love about it.
So you meet fellow Bronco enthusiasts, people who love the Ford Bronco. It doesn't matter what generation Bronco you have. You go on cruises together, drives together. My favorite part is to go off-roading, test your vehicle out, and have some fun.
Oh, that's great, man. That's awesome. Let's do it again.
We're here to make new friends. We're here to see new rigs, get new ideas, and then go out and enjoy some of this beautiful scenery in the mountains and ride these things.
I like the fact that the city and those surrounding areas support the off-roading aspect. It's nice to know that there are still places out here that you can do what we actually love.
If you're thinking about going to a Bronco event, you definitely need to make it to this one.
Make sure you build a Bronco to see the world, not so the world can see your Bronco. The adventures await. Get out there and drive it.
So I think it was just excellent feedback, and as I said, they absolutely, these guys and girls love our trail system. So I know what Stacy's thinking. Why don't we have a Visit Carson City wrapped Bronco? I think that's a brilliant idea, quite frankly. And I think with a budget of 150,000 for that vehicle, Stacy, we can have an amazing vehicle that you could be the lead on one of these tours with Mitch.
Yeah,
So-
I didn't bring my checkbook, so I guess I'll have to wait another month.
Okay, but then we can do it next month. Perfect. Yeah.
Dave's always thinking.
Yeah, no, you got to think ahead, right?
My God.
Yeah, positive thinking. Yeah, and I just shout out to Mitch and his dad. They do an amazing job leading these tours, ensuring that we're staying on the trail system, being compliant. People going off all over the place. So really appreciate that to Mitch and his dad. So thank you both guys for that. Capital City Crushers, NICA. This went off on Sunday, and it looked great in terms of the setup on Saturday. I was not able to be there Sunday morning for the kickoff. I hope we did more than 400 riders. Obviously, I'll get some feedback, or Stu will get some feedback from Nikki Peterson, hopefully this week, as we kind of narrow in on the total number of folks that were riding out there. But I know we had folks from Ely and Mammoth and Bishop again, so we're generating room nights from those folks. And yeah, I think to say 1,500 spectators, I was there last year, and easily I can say there were that many people. They're just all over the place, And this is all in partnership with the state, with WNC as well, right, where we start and end the race. So it's a pretty cool setup that they have going on up there. So hats off to all of them, and the weather came back around nicely on Sunday for them. So Sheriff's Canine Challenge. I made it to the tail end of this where they were doing the horses and the dogs attacking the guy in the big suit, which was great. So I know that we had folks from all over northern Nevada, and then this year we had a unit from Northern California, and I apologize, I don't know specifically what city that group came out of. But all good. A lot of people in the stands over there still, even though it was toward the end of the day on Saturday. And one of the issues that contributed to a drop in the number of teams was some of these folks are firefighters as well, and so they were fighting fires, and that dropped some folks from the challenge. Bonanza Kennel Club. All right, so this was at the end of September. We got folks from all over. I was looking at some of the 17 different reports that Candy sent to Stu. By my calculations, they did have about 600 total dogs. Majority were out of state. Bless you. California, Oregon, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada. I'll just say what I calced on some of the sheets was 25 different states, Canada, and there was even a dog from Japan that was here for this event. So just packed, as you can imagine. And post-event surveys are going out from the AKC, which oversees all these dog shows. So more to come once we are able to get that final data from Candy and her team. All right, KaboomCon. So this is our first year being involved with this. So if you all recall, last year in 2024, it was just a one-day show working with Mark. We were able to turn this into a full 3-day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We didn't have the attendance that we thought. So 92 different vendors, artists, performers from different states. A lot of people here are San Francisco, Los Angeles, Susanville, West Sacramento, Bakersfield, Las Vegas, Pahrump, Stockton, and Suisun City. 400 to 500 total spectators over the weekend. Little did we know when Mark set the date, he did that in order to not be competing or close to other events. Well, unbeknownst to us, apparently either the week before or 2 weeks before, if Stu were here, he would know the specifics on this, there was a Comic-Con style event at the Tahoe Blue Event Center, and then Reno has one this month. It killed our event, more or less, in terms of attendance because the expectation was for, I think, 2,000, 2,500 people. And so I don't know what this means for next year because I didn't have a chance to talk to Mark because I was out of town. If we're going to try to figure out a different date or a different time of the year where we're not competing with these other events for same vendors, same artists, same performers, etc. So we're going to take a look at this again and see what next year needs to look like relative to the schedule. But when Mark did schedule this, the other two events, they were nowhere to be found. And then suddenly they popped up pre and post our event, and it really impacted the attendance at our event. So Sparrow's Lockpick, that was a 3-day convention at the historic Nevada State Prison. That was in mid-September. 80 people from all across the United States, Norway, the UK, the Netherlands, and Canada came here. 209 total room nights were generated. And I'm happy to say that we're looking at expanding this to 200 people, which I think would be huge because it should put us 500, 600, maybe even more room nights moving forward. And Mike Heitkamp has figured out a way, we think, that we can have 100 in at the prison, and then 100 people would be at other activities, right? And then we can kind of flip and shift and move people around Carson City. So he's ready. He wants to permanently move this event here. So he's looking for potentially a 5-year destination sponsorship agreement. So we're working on some details about other locations in and around Carson City with Mike, but I think this would be fantastic for Carson City. And when I was there, I talked to some folks. There's one guy in particular from Colorado, but this was echoed from some of his team to me as well. For those that went out, let me clarify. The 100, sorry, I got ahead of myself. 100 at the prison, 100 at the shooting range. And that's how we can flip people around. We only had 20 at the shooting range this year, but to a person, they said that they felt we have the best shooting range they've ever been at. And these are people from very large cities, Denver and the like, and they absolutely loved the gun range. They just thought it was meticulous, the way it was laid out, amazing. So I passed that feedback along to Parks as well. But this, I think, is going to be a pretty big opportunity for us, and really, it's international, for us. So yes, go ahead, Garrett.
Question for you. I don't know exactly what that event is. Do they get locked in a prison cell and have to find their way out? How does that
Okay.
work?
So, yes, so yes, they were doing like break-ins, picking safes. So some of the top safe crackers in the world were here, teaching how to break into safes. And the irony is you're out of prison. But yes, they were, showing how to break open the locks and the gates. They were doing, I'm not sure because I'm not a military person, but like egress, is it, where you're breaching like a building or an office building or a house or things of that nature. And then obviously we had the shooting. So when I talked to Mike, he said, these guys you're looking at are former 3-letter people, like DOD or CIA, FBI, military, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, there were all kinds of different classes about security this, security that, how do you break into this, break into that. It was pretty cool. And they were moving people around the prison into the different areas within. They loved the prison. Like these guys were just raving about how cool, the prison facilities were, and the fact that they could have an event there. Very unique and different than what has happened in the past with his event on the East Coast. So yeah, there were all kinds of different breakouts. They were doing the jaws of life on a car, extracting, like a person pretending, get them out of the car, all kinds of different things going on. And I know they'd love to be able to get into the Ormsby and do some training in there, and the quarry, with demolitions, explosive stuff. So he's got some really big plans on how to grow the event and bring different folks to get to this 200 capped number. And just as a reminder, if memory serves me, each one of these folks pays $1,650 to be a part of this, event or conference. And I know Mike probably put in $100 and something thousand just in the local economy, all the food, storage facilities, you name it. Everything was, with the exception of the transportation, because we didn't have the buses, right, to be able to get people from Reno. But he used local transportation out of Reno. But everything else, he spent the money here in Carson City, was great for our small businesses here in Carson City. So
Did he have a host hotel? Did he do an RFQ for?
we did an RFQ, and the Plaza is who won the RFQ. Part of that decision by Mike was based on the space that they had to accommodate everybody, and then what they were doing for activities there as well. But yes, it did go out as an RFQ. So, and we have explained to Mike, you're not gonna, thank you, Chris. You're not gonna get 200 rooms at a particular property here. We just don't have that size property. So you're going to have to look at 2 or 3 or 4 even properties, in Carson City for next year. So the logistics on that, he's going to have to figure that out, because obviously he's got to move all of these folks in shuttles or buses. Some people drove, everybody else was flying in, right, from the Midwest and East Coast. So, I realized that after the fact, yeah. Yeah, let me just clarify. I had said something. I was looking at the notes here. That firefighter comment that I mentioned about the canine challenge, that was inaccurate. So my apologies. I pulled something in there from last month's presentation. So there was no impact to teams based on firefighters, since we're talking about the canine stuff. So thank you, Chris. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's it on events and sales for Stu. Any other questions? Okay. Well, now we're going to get into my Lydia Beck impersonation on 10F for marketing. I'm just going to hit the highlights, if that's okay with all of you. So we've got digital growth, and then our PR September update, the Data 5 fiscal year 25 report, Winter's Charm update, and then the Film Nevada Day tour on the agenda here. These are our numbers for the month of September. I'm not going to go through and read them all to you unless there's, a particular question. I would just remind everybody, obviously, on the lodging referral side of things, this is just us driving. We do not have that other company involved on the back end of the website. So these are just straight referrals going directly to our lodging partners here in Carson City. I'm going to go ahead, Chris, and move forward to public relations. Is a pretty good, why that says August. I'm pretty sure that's September. So we had something on the Escape to Charming Mountain Town in Nevada before fall ends. That was a national digital media outlet. The Carson City to Canada Quest, that did come to a close, as you all know, with the celebration of the second and final hiker. That was Audrey Payne. She was the second to complete that. And as a reminder, she did the entire PCT, Mexico all the way to Canada. So 2,600 miles there. And that was picked up locally. This may have August because some of this ties in pre and post over those couple of months. But we also had the August celebration, as you all remember, with Julianne. So that had Yahoo Life, the Tahoe Daily Tribune. We were in Weekend Sherpa as well. That is something in the past we've actually paid to be a part of with that gentleman, but this was something got picked up for fall attractions. And that's sort of a dedicated West Coast subscriber base. So predominantly that's the Bay Area, San Francisco, but there's also a huge LA piece too. I cannot remember his name at the top of my head, but what Weekend Sherpa's audience looks like. And Visit Reno Tahoe was a part of that as well. And then we had a couple of FAMs. That was the different spirited haunts. So we had Melody Pittman. She did her work through Instagram, and then we had a small group. That was done in conjunction with Reno Tahoe Territory. So we had 3 paranormal-focused influencers, Joshua Sterling Bragg, Mike Rickey, and Brian Starr. And then basically just working on the new story ideas for consideration moving forward with the KPS3 folks and Travel Nevada. So still trying to work angles there with the state. Can we come into alignment with what they may be doing on a statewide basis? Make sure if they're doing something in Carson City that we're also supporting those efforts. So final bow tied Carson City to Canada Quest. It was a 2-year journey where we were promoting the Capped to Tahoe Trail. Audrey again was the second hiker who completed her journey there in September. And just a huge thanks to everybody, who made this thing happen, especially with the Parks Rec Open Space team and Muscle Powered, with the trail. And just, this is really cool. Really cool, I think, for Carson City. It really put us on a map. And again, ties that proximity of Carson City to Lake Tahoe, in the basin up there. So, yeah, perfect. All right, so I'm going to go high level on the Datafy data. I know that, I apologize. Yeah, so let's just get there. So a couple of quick nuances, and I am not the expert on the data, you guys, so I'm just going to get that out there right off the get-go. We updated some of the search parameters to exclude the major highways that run through Carson City. I know it's hard to, unfortunately, see that detail on the map, and that was in an attempt to get a more accurate count of day trippers, to understand the people that are basically just taking the 580 bypass in and out of Carson City. And we're trying to, again, narrow down as we're looking at these mobile device counts and to be as accurate as we think we can be, just given the parameters that we're kind of fitting within on the Datafy platform. And then a reminder, as you see some of the visitor spending data, this is only available at the zip code level. And since Topsy Lane and Costco fall into the same zip, we chose to exclude the zip code to provide a more accurate visitor spending estimate for Carson City, just so we're not pulling in that cross-county visitor spending data. So just a couple of notes as we chat through this. So I'll hit highlights. So Carson City, about 1.4 million trips. Am I looking at the right one? Yeah. 7.9% increase over the previous year, which, again, these are mobile devices, right? So we're looking at about 4 million estimated visitor days, average length of stay 2.9 days. That was down a little bit, about 0.3 days. Most visits, again, with what we're tracking, are on the day trip level at 70%. But when we look at those overnight folks, we're seeing slight growth in the 2 to 5 day stays. So I think it's a mix probably of like quick getaways and extended travel. And then, okay, perfect. Out-of-state visitors drove about 91% of the visitor days. 61% were repeat visitors. And then, of course, our weekends, are still the busiest for us. Next one, thank you, Chris. Visitation sort of built up through the spring and then peaked in June, up into the big number there in July of just under 600K in terms of visitor days, and then trails off a little bit. So obviously we're trying to do everything we can to not have that precipitous drop as you get into the fall, right? So I think with the events, us looking at maybe moving some events into November, we're going to try to mitigate some of that drop, I guess I'll call it. On the clusters, our core shopping cluster, it really led the visitation. Shopping, dining, both were up shopping up about 18%, and then almost 18% on the food and beverage. And so I think that helps on that local business, small business side of things. Thank you, Chris. Largely, we're looking at that 45 to 65-year-old, higher income and smaller households. And I think that sort of is reflecting that established audience that we have with strong spending potential. And if you want me to hit on anything else, I'm happy to do that, but I'm just quick highlights. Again, total trips are up over the year. We did have a small decrease in the average visitor days in the market. SAC, Los Angeles, the Bay Area remain our strongest feeder markets, but we are seeing some small year-over-year gains in Fallon and Bishop as well. And we did confirm with our colleagues in Fallon that the base recommends people visit the capital, and I think that's also what's impacting shopping numbers, including just over the county line as well at Walmart, and that's just talking with Jane out there, my peer in Fallon. So it looks weird, but confirming the military folks are definitely coming and visiting Carson City, even if it's for a weekend. We're definitely seeing impact by that here in Carson City. On the DMA end of things, our nearby markets, Sac, Reno, we have the shorter stay, but 2.7 days. And then folks obviously coming from the further distance, Phoenix, San Diego, Dallas, stay the longest at just over 3 days. And then when we look by distance, those short haul travelers are within about 150 miles. Those are primarily our day trippers, and visitors traveling 500 miles or more. We see that 6+ night stay here. So that's definitely our highest value audience, I would say. But we do not get as many of them, of course. And then, perfect, Chris, thank you. On the spending data, so we've got some different metrics here. So just as a reminder, next month I'll be talking about the visitor profile study. So that's something I work with Travel Nevada on for domestic folks. That's managed panel data that's coming from OmniTrack, and then I work with the research team at Travel Nevada to come up with that profile for Carson City. That profile looks at all different forms of spending, regardless of how you're paying for something. When we're talking about this data here with the spend per trip of 270, 313, and 3.09 transactions, it's just credit card data. So again, yeah, go ahead, Gary, yes.
My question on the average spend per trip, is that including the hotel room or is that outside of the hotel room?
It's inclusive of where they're identifying credit card transactions only. So yeah, so it can be anything that they basically spent on using a credit card that Datafy is capturing from that particular credit card spend. So I don't know all the nuances. I mean, I know they're picking up all the different cards, but this is something that I've had to go back and forth with them on just to understand, is it just the transactions themselves when they're actually paying for something? Is it including, say I use my credit card to take $1,000 out, right? And I do not believe it's taken into consideration if they're taking like a cash withdrawal out of a bank or an ATM or something like that. It would just be at point of sale locations is what I've been able to figure out so far, but we're still kind of working through this data with them and the sourcing and everything. So, Stacy, did you have a question?
Yeah, just, so I guess that wouldn't, if they prepaid for a hotel room when they were at home, it wouldn't capture that. I mean, I know we're getting into the weeds here, and look, this is really all non-verified data. This is, I mean, we're pulling data from, for your benefits, we're pulling data from geo information off of people's phones.
Correct.
So, you know, we don't, I mean, it's not like they answered questions.
Correct.
So we're,
It's very different. That's why I wanted to point out.
yeah, it's very
not
different
a-
than your next month's report that is.
Correct, because
little more
that's more detailed.
detailed.
So they're following up at the next month after the end of a month's travel with visitors. Where did you go?
Yeah.
How much did you spend on lodging? Yeah. So I say this. I think the way I would look at this is trend, information, and you're tying it again to mobile devices, right? So it's not a people counter per se, right? This is mobile devices, and then they're tracking that spending that's associated with those devices. So it's just another metric, I would say, just to kind of see. Obviously, what I'm looking for is, are we seeing an increase? In this case, there was about a 24% increase year over year. Transactions were down, I would argue, negligibly, right, at the negative 0.1%. But also just trying to see that spending from a device standpoint, in-state, out-state, local, right, versus a visitor, to the area. But you're absolutely right. It gets a little weedy when you try to get in there and basically associate that spending with that mobile device and the cards and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, but to Garrett's point, if you look at the average, the ADR from the report that we've produced, which we know is accurate,
Yep.
at 172 a night, and the average stay being 2 nights,
It's more than.
Something is,
Yeah.
the numbers are not, because that would be,
Correct.
340-ish if my math is right. And
You're absolutely right.
we're only at 274. So
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
as you
And
said, it's one more
It's just
piece of
another,
data to
exactly. It's another data point.
look at trends. And perhaps-
Exactly. And then the thing is, then you get into include zeros. So obviously, if you're staying at a lodging property, everybody's going to have lodging revenue, right? By virtue of you're staying there, you're spending money. Now, whether or not they pay with a credit card or the company wrote a check or they pay cash, that's a whole nother situation. But this type of reporting isn't going to take that into consideration. And also, we're not excluding any zeros. So when you see this is inclusive of our locals, our day trippers, so their average spending, if they just came into town and they got gas for $40 and whatever, had a $20 lunch, that's going to pull this average down significantly. But yeah, so there's a lot of things to go in. I hesitated to include this, but then I thought I owed it to the board just to see another data point and what we're pulling in on the mobile side of things. Just again, looking at this trend, look at it year over year. Maybe we can get some quarterly differentials moving forward as well on the reporting that Lydia does, and just see if there's nuanced differences by quarter, time of the year, as well.
So the day trippers are gonna offset the ADR and the.
They're gonna pull, exactly,
Got
yeah,
ya.
because there's no exclude zero.
Right.
Whereas we can do that on that managed panel data, right? You can, if we're looking for overnight visitors, we're removing day trippers by default, right? Now, we don't do the exclude zero on a category by category basis, right? To try to blow all of the category spending up, because I don't think that's the right thing to do either. But yes, day trippers are gonna.
But also, if it's a family of 4 or 3 that's in one room, you're only going to pay. I mean, it's only going to be one
Only pay
payment
once.
of $340 for 2 nights, and
Exactly.
then if this is $273 per person, which we don't know if it is or if it's per trip per group. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of nuance.
It's
there.
a little, it's
Yeah,
a little different.
you really have to read around it.
Yes, agreed. I think I would take this, so if I was in your role, I would look at this as directional data.
Correct.
Right, more or less, because this is not a domestic visitor profile or an international visitor profile by any stretch of the imagination. That's a different type of research.
Correct. Looking at that metric, are they spending more money here? That's how you want to
Are
look
we
at that
seeing
metric.
exactly a positive? Yeah. Nope, agreed. This next one gets into the DMAs, so just looking at our largest spending DMA, which is really that SAC DMA at about 22.3%, LA San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose next. Our highest spending categories, leisure and recreation, grocery department stores, followed by dining and nightlife. And then we've got a little bit on the retail side of things and experiential activities as well. Okay, a winter's charm. I'm very happy to say we had a fantastic meeting here, I don't know, a week or so ago with KPS3. We're going to do a small refresh of the digital ads for Act 3. And this is going to be cool. We're going to bring back Danielle, bring back Melody, and this will be more evergreen for us. We'll start it after the holiday season. So the way that we'll shoot this, without getting into all the details, because I wasn't a part of the second conversation, so I don't want to say something and be wrong and have that corrected next month. But it'll be evergreen from the standpoint that we won't have a conflict about the holiday period, right? The last 2 weeks of December, through the New Year's holiday. This is something that will allow us to start in January. We'll go through March for sure. If we have a great ski season up in Tahoe, then we may be able to push this even into April. So look for more on that front. Datify, I've got a note here from Lydia, the Datify advertising, independent of this, on the Datify platform, that is underway. That will be underway. No, it is underway. I apologize. That went live. Yeah, that went live the 1st or the 3rd of October. So that part's in place. We'll have nostalgia going. And then, like I said, Act 3 will come out in January. So pretty cool on that end of things. Okay, so this was the Nevada Day tour. I want to say it was the 29th of September. We had 80 filmmakers, producers, jury members in Carson City, Virginia City, and in Lake Tahoe, North Lake Tahoe to be specific, to experience film-friendly locations and local support firsthand. This was a part of the Cordillera International Film Festival. I'm talking here as though I'm Lydia. Lydia is on as an advisory board member for the Cordillera Film Festival, and she actually spearheaded the planning for the whole day. So it was awesome. We had a bunch of industry leaders in the region, which I think was great, showcasing, again, what an easy, cool, unique place to film for these folks. It wasn't just about Carson City as a film destination, but also we were trying to strengthen our role in Nevada's growing creative economy as well with filming. And huge thanks to Tom Gray. So Tom went all out. This was the coup d'etat for Tom. He has wanted something like this. He had the DeLorean up there. Every car, we had all 4 cars going. He actually had cutouts of each movie and, to the best of his ability, to the place on each of the cars where things were shot inside the different passengers. So we have the 3 Pullmans, right? I think with the Jersey Lil was the 4th car, unless it was the Ardell May. But I went on and it was great. So we could show, hey, this movie was shot here. This guy sat here. This guy sat there. In addition to that, we had horseback riders ride in next to the train coming into Carson City. So they loved it. The folks that I talked with, not only at the depot, but also afterwards when they were getting the ice cream at Scoops, they loved it. And the whole idea is to not have to take the train set, put it on 4 semis, 5 semis, whatever, and ship it all over the Western United States. Let's get these people to film right here because, as I told them, you saw it coming down. Does that look any different than it did in the 1800s? No. I mean, you wouldn't know the difference, right? Except for the occasional abandoned car, but we can move that, So they loved it. Some people were able to reconnect. They hadn't been here in, 30, 40 years, right, in this area. But they remembered, having been out this way. I had an opportunity to talk with one gentleman in particular who's looking to bring a film here. Lydia had a conversation with another individual. He's looking to do 3 films. So, if we get one out of this, not just for Carson City, but if it ends up being the whole area, I think it was well worth it. And Lydia did a superb job. I give the, V&T team did a great job as well, eschewing everybody in, through, out of the depot. And then this is McFadden with the ice cream. Feedback, incredible. Again, we had the ice cream social, McFadden Plaza, and then they got a chance, so it's cool, because then they got a chance to wander all around. The Capitol grounds, McFadden Plaza, the whole 9 yards, just again to see what a cool film-friendly location, Carson City is in this case. And then we go up to Sand Harbor for lunch. And Chris, if you'll go one. Oh, well, never mind. I want to thank Lori Baxter. She stepped in here for us to actually do the lunch. So I don't know what happened. Something fell through, I guess, and we seized on the opportunity to partner with Lori to cater lunch. And I think that was a huge win for Carson City, quite frankly, because these folks were able to see and have an amazing lunch. And for her to engage with folks to say, hey, if you're shooting in Carson City, you need meals coming on set, on location, we're a great option for you. So that was the Film Nevada Day. Hats off to everybody that was involved. I think it really opened some eyes to people. So with that,
David, sorry,
Yes.
who is Lori Baxter? Sorry.
Lori, I apologize. Bella Vita. She owns Bella
right,
Vita.
right.
Yeah, I should have said that. Yeah, so she has the restaurant, but then she
No,
also
no, I
has the
knew that,
catering
yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she was great for stepping up there kind of last minute to pull that off for us. So, yeah. Any questions or any other questions on the marketing PR front? Okay.
Just,
yes, go
you know, one, I'm still amazed at how many people from Southern Nevada don't or haven't been to Northern Nevada. And I think there's opportunity there. You know, I just mentioned that just because I spent a fair amount of time in Vegas and always ask, you know, have you been to Tahoe? Have you been to Carson? Been to Virginia City? And I'm shocked at the number of people, I've been to Reno, but
Yeah.
it's like, man, you know, you're really missing
the best part of the state.
huge part, seriously.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know what the answer is, but I think it's an opportunity for the same state for, you know, us to do some marketing specifically to that region.
So we are on a secondary basis, Stacy, with the regular marketing, we are doing exactly that. And the second avenue that we're going after folks from the Clark County area is through specific marketing of events. And I'll give you an example, although Stu will probably kill me for saying this because he's not here, but we're working on a couple of additional boxing tournaments next year with the Tasmanian Boxing Club. Andrew, we were there. It was an amazing event, standing room only, earlier this year. One of the specific events that we talked about was North versus South. So Southern Nevada versus Northern Nevada, bringing those boxing clubs and teams and everything together to battle it out. And Cisco and the team, they're all in on that. I think it's just a fantastic idea. So with Pride, we're going to do specific advertising to go after the Southern Nevada market. And so I think it's a two-pronged approach. Obviously, you know, we don't have unlimited funding, so we need to be a bit judicious about where we're allocating those dollars on a general marketing effort or in addition to specifically marketing and targeting, the events themselves to help drive attendance at the events from Southern Nevada. But yeah, I'm as stupefied as you, you know, as to how.
Well, it would also be interesting if you know, the state with some of the dollars they have would produce region-specific events, region-specific marketing or whatnot that could be used in those other markets. Like here, you would do an advertisement for Elko or for Ely or for Vegas. Vegas, you would do an advertisement for Elko or Carson, or, you know, I mean, to encourage Nevadans to visit other parts of Nevada.
Yeah,
you know?
that actually, it is a part of what they do, Stacy. They do that through their 10 road trips.
Okay.
So they have the state broken up into 10 different routes, however you want to pronounce it. But and that's a way that they go after trying to move Nevadans around Nevada to basically see your own state, right? You know, and their efforts are honestly geared at the 15 rural counties, right? Because you have the two big CVAs in Vegas and Reno, so they're all about driving folks to rural Nevada, and that goes for what they do internationally, you know, and domestically as well, but definitely with their in-state campaign efforts. So, and I think we need to complement some of that as well, right? And if we see something that's working, maybe we tie in, you know, we partner with them, which we have done in the past with Expedia campaigns and things of that nature to go after, folks in the Las Vegas area to drive room nights, right? Where possible, where it makes sense for us to do that. But I
Well,
agree
one
with
of the
you.
ways perhaps to do that, Kara and I were talking briefly, when I was in high school here, it was very common for high schools from around the state to come and do the Nevada Day Parade. And you don't see that as much anymore.
Yeah.
Doing a sponsorship, or that might be a way
Sure.
to get, because, then if the kids come, the parents are going to come.
Yep.
If you bring the high school band from Ely and the high school band from Elko and the high school band from Tonopah,
Yeah.
you're going to
parents will
get
come.
some people who are going to come,
Yeah.
and hopefully it's a regional event, and it's a 3-day weekend. They can spend a little time here. They can go to Tahoe. They can go to Virginia
Yeah.
City.
Yeah,
Might
yeah.
be a regional for the Dust and Wonder,
Yes.
group, because I feel like, and again, we were talking about this, the Nevada Day Parade feels less about the whole state and
Mhm.
more about the region. And that's somehow we've got to, and again, maybe I recognize that school districts have, funding issues, but if we could find a way to get some marketing dollars or some scholarships or something that maybe brought some of those, the bands to me are a great way to do that, because you bring the whole family. I mean, what kid doesn't, or what parent doesn't want to see their kid in a parade, right?
Yep. Yep.
And all of us who've been here forever have been in the parade 1,000 times in one event or another. Our kids have been in this event or that group, but it's just, I think we're missing that, and that may be a tie that brings people and puts heads in beds and
Agreed.
bolsters an event.
We could go off the whole road trip idea, because the road trip is very specific to highways
Yeah.
and not destinations, which I think it should branch off into destinations, because the North and South get together on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's not as specific as it should be. So I think you're 100% right on there. I think it's something we could get the Nevada Commission on Tourism involved in.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
And
especially
the territories.
I would agree with you, especially if we bring it back to Nevada Day, which is a Nevada specific thing. No state that I know celebrates Admission Day the way Nevada does.
Nobody.
And before we lose the historical component of that, and we lose the cohesive nature of bringing the state together, that to me maybe is a hook we can hang things off of to expand to the other stuff you're talking about.
Absolutely agree.
I agree. No, I'm right. I wrote that down, Stacy. So
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, and to tie off what you said, Stacy, I agree with everything you just said. And bring the Fremont Cannon here. That should be here every single Nevada Day Parade. There should be the mascot from UNLV and from UNR, and have those guys down here. You could have the state champion high school teams that show up from those small communities, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. That's a big driver to that. The other thing I think can be a driver between the north and south and getting more traffic both ways is golf. Whether that's golf packages that's offered to the golfers down there.
Yep.
But what's never been in place and what would be really cool is a Nevada Golf Championship. And that is played in different events throughout the state. With one big event, kind of like the PGA Tour, but just in Nevada. Being able to pull something like that off. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the golf market that we could take advantage of.
A follow-up question, Garrett, on that front. Do you see the Las Vegas golf market similar to Northern California? So, and where I'm going with that is we have this great opportunity here, which we take full advantage of because of how overcrowded the golf courses are in Northern California, and they're super expensive. So we're like this perfect kind of getaway for the weekend for these guys, 4 guys come out or 8 or whatever, a couple groups go out. We seem to be able to take great advantage of that because of price and basically not even being able to get on a golf course, in Northern Nevada. Do you think the same two, elements are in place in Las Vegas? Is it super expensive and hard to get on the course down there?
The other element in Vegas that would benefit both the north and the south is in June, July, and August, you're not playing golf out in Las Vegas. You're
Yeah.
waiting until September, October, November. So
Okay.
those could be the months
It's
that
cheap.
the golf's.
It's cheap in the summer.
It is
but
cheap in the
it's
summer.
brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I like that.
But to his point, I know people who golf down there, and starting now, it's expensive and it's hard to get on.
Okay, so maybe we can look at what we're doing with the efforts in Northern California and replicate that, just not
Yeah.
at the same time of the year, obviously.
Yeah,
But
no, it would be perfect.
It
I
almost-
know that we
yeah.
market, because some of the hotels I stay in have a golf magazine and we're in it.
Yep,
I mean,
we
I know
are.
we're in it.
the,
So
yeah,
we're in those
Oh, yeah.
magazines, in those hotels, but
yeah,
it's a full statewide thing, but we're right there.
okay.
Yeah.
I like your.
Yeah, this
June,
is
July,
some of the
August.
most affordable, we know this. It's crazy. What is it, 9 courses, 10 courses?
Yeah,
If you add
9.
South Reno, what are we up to, 12 or so courses within a
Easily.
40-minute drive? And nothing's over $100? I mean,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, you know?
I love it. So what I heard, Chair, is we need to get a membership at Edgewood
Yes.
for
that's
you,
exactly
for me,
what I heard.
so we can talk the talk and walk the walk. So, okay, thank you for that.
Well, and I'll get with you on it, Dave, because we've looked
Okay.
into it. There, I think it's the Nevada State Golf Association that has links to that you could do direct marketing to specific golfers, because everything's held by people's handicaps.
Right,
So
and
I
that's
could
true.
get with you on that, but
I appreciate
think,
that.
I think it's the Nevada
Would
State
be,
Golf
that would be
Association.
amazing to do something like that, where we,
Yeah.
get with one of the properties and perhaps do a
Yeah,
few golf
packaging.
packages that we could package up and get with a golf course and, package something up. And then, as you said, Andrews, with the people who have a handicap, bring them up and from Vegas or from wherever, Sacramento, yeah.
I think they'll be blown away too, just by
Yeah.
the caliber of our courses as
And
well.
golfers are always looking to get out of town and go
Yeah.
somewhere and play.
Okay.
That's for sure.
As a side note, I had a friend visiting from Alabama earlier in the last week. And we played 2 courses Monday and Tuesday. We went out to Dayton on Monday and Silver Oak on Tuesday. And he was like, there's no trees. And he just was commenting, this ought to be easy, and by the time we're
It's not.
done,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I take that back. These are, Dayton's a great course, and then Silver Oak was a lot of character to it, and he complimented them both. He said, "No, I'd love to come back to these." So
That's awesome.
they're good, and that's a good gauge. And he works at a golf course, so
It's great
yeah.
feedback,
So it was
yeah.
really good feedback.
Okay. No, thank you. I appreciate the input. Super ideas. Thank you. Any further comments, suggestions on marketing PR? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. We'll go ahead and go on to 10G, future agenda items. Anything the board would like to have put on future agenda? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yes.
Comments. I don't have anything for the agenda. Just do we have never mind.
Well, you still got at the end.
Never
Stacy.
mind.
Yeah, no, yeah. Okay. 10H, upcoming meeting right here, same time, 4 p.m., November 10th. All right, and that's a Monday, normal meeting. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you, David. Item number 11, do we have any CTA board announcements or comments or requests for information?
Just a few things I wanted to mention from the city's perspective. Our historic preservation, the State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, it reviews periodically local historic resource commissions. And Carson City was certified as a local government historic resources commission, one of only 4 in the state. So that was, they do a quadrennial evaluation. And this is for the period between 2021 and June 30th of 2025. And it's Carson, Las Vegas, Reno, and Virginia City are the only other certified historic resource commissions in the entire state. So it speaks to the work that our HRC does, our board does, the work that we've done at CTA to highlight the historic components and maintain that historic, and this is related to structures and residences. So that was exciting to see that. The Capitol Christmas tree, you may have heard that Nevada, the Humboldt-Toiba National Forest is providing or has provided, they've already cut it down, the Capitol Christmas tree that'll be on the Capitol grounds. It will be at Carson City Toyota on Nevada Day from 1 to 3. I think it's laying on a trailer, wrapped up, but you'll be able to see it, take pictures with it, which is kind of cool. First time ever that Nevada has supplied the Capitol Christmas tree. And we also provided, each of the counties worked on a massive tree skirt. We're trying to get a picture of that there. So each county has a wedge in the tree skirt, all 17 counties. And the counties each provided ornaments for the tree. In addition to the large tree, we have to provide, we being the Humboldt-Toyabe, the state, has to provide something like 25 or 30 smaller trees for other buildings around Washington, D.C. All of those will get Nevada-themed ornaments that were created by school districts, by, here in Carson City, we got them the capital city ornaments that we do every year, the historic. So that's, you know, some of those should be on display there. So that's very cool. You made a Centennial Park comment. Parks and Rec did Parks and Rec Commission approved the Centennial Park Master Plan, the draft of that. It'll be coming to the board in the coming months. You know, it's big. It includes, in addition to everything that's being done so far, focus on the lower fields and activities down there. You may have been a part of that. And then looking at a bike sort of event area, if you will, to the northwest, northeast. So that'll come to the Board of Supervisors, and once that does, then it'll be posted on our website. But I bring that up because it's good to have that input and be on alert for that. And then Nevada Association of Counties, I don't think this will flow over to us, but NACO held their annual conference, our annual conference in Vegas this year. Next year it moves back to the north, and it'll be in Douglas County at the Tahoe Blue Event Center. Might be some overflow. It's only about 200, 250 people, not huge. I think most of the people stay at the lake, but I just wanted to bring that up in case you hear something about it. It's September 22 through 24. I don't, like, again, I don't think people are going to come down the hill. I think they'll, but I mean, a lot of that depends on what the room rates are like up there during that week. And if they're exorbitant, you know, some local governments may not allow for people to spend time there. Yeah. Not all 200 of those people will stay, because a portion of those are from this region, you know. That's it for me.
Any other? Okay, we'll move on to item number 12, public comment. Does any of the public? Garrett, I thought for sure your daughter was going to come up. No? You don't have nothing for us? All right, with no public comment, we'll move on to item 13, and we can officially adjourn.